Hello everyone, welcome. Today, while I am still moving, I would like to take a retrospect of a ROM hack that I created that was essentially supposed to be a Pokemon Draft League simulator for the PBO, the Pokemon Battle Organization. So, shout out Soren Flying and all the PBO members. Can I get a heck yeah? Yeah, but basically I was trying to develop a ROM hack in which you played as a Draft League player. You had the opportunity, were given the same dock that a Draft League player was using. I can show that right here. Given a draft board, you could make your own kind of copy of this. This was, I think, still Gen 9. So you could use this document, make your own draft to basically build in-game. I didn't implement any point system into the game, although that was something that I wanted to do in the future. So you actually had a, limited amount of points, and instead of doing it yourself, the game would force it. But I kind of want to just kind of skim through this thing, kind of see everything comes up while where it went wrong, what went right. Obviously, like I said, this was version 0.1, just saying that it will at least it's playable in this version. But essentially I spent so much time doing this, and unfortunately I did a lot of it on my own, mostly due to myself and just trying to force it all kind of on myself and not really reaching out for help or asking for help, because I wanted to make it a surprise. And there was supposed to be 2 divisions, meaning that you could face the Unova team and the Kalos team from this season of the PBO, which was really cool. And then this was also a cool thing is, you were given the option: do you only want to draft from the available Pokemon, or do you get, or do you want all the Pokemon? You just draft whatever you mean, or whatever you want. So that was definitely a cool thing that I did. And yeah, then this is basically a giant give command that takes forever. The game is not crashing, but basically it's so many lines of give Pokemon. There's got to be a better way of doing that. But yeah, you definitely need to speed up for this for literally. My speed up is really slow right now, so that's probably why it's taking so long. Does it really take this long? Well, I haven't pulled this. Okay, so we finally got it. That actually took a whole minute, which is crazy. Yeah, I feel like there's some way of giving the trainer command instead of doing that. Also, I think there's a secret. I can't remember. I was basically using these as practice text and stuff like that, but yeah. And then you kind of walk out into this room, and I have another kind of spreadsheet, which essentially tells you there's NPCs on the left side of the room, what they do. Hyper Trainers gives you max IVs, Berry Seller, TM Person Giver gives you all 50 TMs from the base game. Competitive Item Seller, EV, IV, you know the deal. Ability and Mint. But yeah, this was a little bit annoying to organize. Then you also have the script board for Soren. I'll show that in a second, as well as NPCs on the right side of the room. Move deleter, move relearner, egg moves. At the time, I essentially had to throw all the move tutor moves into a character instead of having just all the Pokemon being able to remember any moves. At the time, those resources weren't available, but I think at this point, they're pretty readily available. So there's definitely potential for this to come back and be approved upon in the future. And also this was a poorly made PC because basically the tiles that you were using are dependent on the room, and if you didn't have a PC sprite for the room that I wanted, which I was using E4 tiles, you didn't have a PC, and I didn't want to import the PC sprite. But cool thing is you get all the Pokemon. Although it does take forever, you now have all the fully evolved Pokemon, even some NFEs, I think, that could potentially be useful, I kind of went through the draft and kind of picked out. For some reason, I apparently thought Diglett was even cool. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And oh, sorry, yeah, the other ones just kind of get left in your party. Sheesh. But yeah, if we talk to Soren, here's the week schedule board. Here you see your weekly opponent is and the roster. Make sure to prepare well. The weeks go left to right, meaning your first week will be on the top left. Once you enter the rooms, you cannot leave it until you fight. Good luck with your first week. Cool. So yeah, we have week 1 through 8 here. I can't even remember. Oh, Don Colbus. Dope. And then it shows off basically his team. You can kind of speed this up. Kind of shows like what you're preparing for. You can kind of write this down, but it's also on the doc as well. So you can kind of go through these. And then I even made, I believe, custom rooms for each one, which was kind of cool. And I think after you fight one of them, so this is Don. Let's just see if we can wipe real quick. I'm playing on normal mode. I also made a hard mode, which is basically like the thing when with omniscient or whatever. But yeah, also the AI was kind of dumb about using setup moves pretty frequently, which is definitely a con, as well as having to turn set mode off, another con. Yeah, I think after you fight, I think yeah, something cool is after you fight each one, it basically has a memory tag where basically everyone will come back. Apparently this is me. Thank you for playing. Try out the game node is a perfect. Yeah, that's really funny that I added that, because I then proceed to never add any updates. Definitely something that I want to get back into for sure. I think this one's Clef Keys, right? Yeah. That's, you know, it is uniquely the PBO. You know, for like all the characters and part of it. And here we have Clef Keys coming back as well. But basically that happens for all of them, and I made custom rooms for each one. Pretty cool, but you know, at the end, whenever you do fight the 8th person, they're all just kind of hanging out, and there's nothing really to it besides that. You know, you fight the 8 people, and that's kind of it. There's limitations in terms of like the battle AI and stuff like that, but you know, I think in retrospect it was a really cool idea. I think there's a lot that could be worked on, and I think it could be applied to, like, you know, in terms of like Pokemon Emerald Rogue, like this ROMHack kind of style could be really made into something really cool in terms of like draft. But I think one aspect of this ROM that it will never replace is kind of the community aspect of you know, playing in the PBO and kind of talking with people. That, you know, nothing can really replace that. Something cool is also I made Soren, you know, have updated text every time you do a battle. Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool though. I think I could have made more custom sprites. This was obviously like a rough edit, but, you know, I think it was pretty cool for what it's worth. I think in the future, if I was to ever pick this up again, I'd probably not start from scratch, but I think, you know, would definitely need like updated, easier move sets, you know, stuff like that. I also think the aspect of like the fact that the PBO has so many divisions now, you essentially can make kind of an RPG out of it where you start at the lowest division. Right now I believe it's still Neon. Once you know, play through that, you know, bump up. Well, first I would want to add playoffs, so you do all your 8 weeks, then you do playoffs, then once you win you go on to the next one, which would be Crystal, and somehow you would need to make the AI better and better. Obviously the teams I think would get better and better, but yeah, something cool. Oh, also I totally forgot to mention, each one of these team members has 3 potential teams, so that's also pretty cool. So you know, in terms of draft, you can actually, there's a little bit of replayability behind this. But yeah, I think in the future, having that kind of RPG style setting for this ROM could be really cool. Moving up from Neon to Crystal to Sunset to Stargazer would be really cool. And then in terms of total draft stuff overall, I think it would be interesting to see, you know, a potential draft style kind of format for a ROMHack like this. But again, like I said, I think the most important aspect of draft leagues is kind of like the social community style of it. This is definitely fun, you know, gets people talking. We can kind of mess around with stuff, but ultimately there's a lot of limitations. So, but yeah, with that being said, I will catch you guys on the next one. Sorry for all the rambling, and hopefully we'll get some good content soon. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.